In North Carolina, a financial affidavit is used primarily in the area of family law. And what it does is it gives a snapshot of an individual's financial standing. So for example, if you're going to go to court for child support, the court will require each party to prepare a financial affidavit which is signed under oath by the party to the lawsuit, and it provides the court with a snapshot of that individual's financial standing, which is why it's referred to as a financial affidavit. When a financial affidavit is prepared and presented to the court can rely upon those affidavits alone in rendering a decision. So they are a very important part of the process, and the purpose of preparing a financial affidavit is to minimize the litigation between the parties. It's to minimize the disagreements regarding an individual's financial standing, because when you prepare a financial affidavit, you are not only required to provide the information that is necessary on the affidavit, which is ultimately signed and notarized, which is why it is an affidavit, because it is a sworn statement that can be used in a court proceeding. But when you prepare that affidavit, you are also required to disclose the necessary information to back up or verify the information contained in the financial affidavit. So for example, you'll have to include bank statements or pay stubs or credit card statements, income tax returns. And so that provides a neat package of somebody's financial standing, which then minimizes the amount of time it would take the parties and or the court to determine what an individual's financial standing is. So it is a very important process when you get involved in child support and or spousal support. The equitable distribution affidavit, which is used in family law, again, is much like a financial affidavit in that it is an affidavit which is a sworn statement, but rather than being a snapshot of somebody's financial standing, it is a snapshot of the property. It lists all the different items of property that would potentially need to be divided in a divorce proceeding. So it will list real estate, it will list bank accounts, it will list investment accounts, it will list marital furnishings, vehicles, art collections, antiques, all of the household furnishings. It will also list the separate property of each individual. And so much like the financial affidavit, it's used to assist the court and streamline the process so there is less argument as to what property needs to be divided or how it would be divided. But it is a very detailed and somewhat complex affidavit that contains many different schedules. It will have schedules where you list all of the real property that is at issue. It will have schedules where you list all the investment accounts or retirement accounts that would be at issue. It will have schedules that will require you to list all of the household furnishings that would need to be divided. And so it is very important to not only be thorough, but to be accurate, because ultimately it is an affidavit that is signed and notarized by the party, which is then presented to the court and becomes an affidavit that the court can rely upon when dividing the marital assets and debts, because it is an affidavit that will also take into consideration the debts that are involved and not just the assets. So it is a comprehensive snapshot of the property that is involved, as opposed to a financial snapshot, which is the financial affidavit. But those two affidavits typically work hand in hand, and both of them are typically filed in a case where child custody or spousal support or property distribution are present. If you have a case where just child custody and child support is present, you would rely upon the financial affidavit. If you have a case where there are no children but there is property, then you would rely upon the equitable distribution affidavit, but a lot of times you'll be relying on both of those affidavits. And so they are both very important as part of the family law process.